This is a great partisan map. I expect that we may end up seeing that there. But here we go. The game has finally started. The first game of our quarterfinal and semi-finals of this tournament. Helping Hands versus Noganno, aka Nico, who's changed his name for this tournament for some reason. Helping Hands straight in with the Ostrupen commander. So crazy, like straight in with it. He is confidently going to go for the Ostrupen gameplay that we saw last week. And what a great strategy it was. Let's see how he fares up against the cons build from Noganno.
The man is fearless, going for it straight away, and it's of course important to mention that he hasn't gone for his barracks. So he will go for a few squads of Ostrupen. Not sure if he'll go for his barracks before he techs up. Sometimes you see players go for this, and then they rush out a scout car incredibly quickly, or even Pigrens, or both. You do obviously want to get the barracks so you can get the Panzerfaust, because the Panzerfaust ability actually requires the barracks. But yeah, we will see definitely 3 Ostrupen, and then we may see him retreat the Pyros and go for the barracks. I'm not sure.
He must be feeling pretty confident about the cover positions that are on this map and being able to get into those early, because the good thing that we saw last week about Ostrupen is that they traded so well. It was so nice how they're just reinforcing, getting back on the field quickly. They were holding engagements for a long period of time as well. It wasn't like they were forced off the field quickly. So I think they'll do well here. The problem we see, I think Noganno's made the right choice in going over to the right-hand side of the map to get fuel, because there's a lot of negative cover. Excuse me, a lot of negative cover that these Ostrupen are going to have to cross through before they can get onto that side of the map. So Noganno may be making a nice little strategic start there, although he has potentially given away this building covering the fuel point to Ostrupen, which would make it incredibly easy for Hands to get over that side of the map.
He's worried about the MG. Noganno can't go for the left side fuel when the MG's in the middle here. Sending it to the middle to get this VP, but actually there's cons there behind the heavy cover. The cons can probably win this one because they won't take suppression when they're behind the heavy cover. MG may actually run for the house now. Nice little engagement there by Noganno, not being afraid to take that engagement. Oh no, he's getting suppressed. Okay, so yeah.
I mean, of course, that can happen if one model is even out of that. If one model isn't benefiting that green cover, it's possible for that squad to get suppressed. So maybe that was what happened. So, can't always trust the armor arrow there, but. Interesting engagement. Yeah, he probably could have won that one, but look how brutal Hands is being here. Pushing the Ostrupen up with the MG for support. He's going to take a strategic point that is going to deny the entire map for Noganno, forcing Noganno to pull all his forces back from this side. This is absolutely brutal early game play from Hands. He's just utilizing everything at his disposal so well.
The thing is about this positioning is there's actually Ostrupen getting vision for the flank. So there's no way that Noganno could have flanked the MG without helping Hans having vision of it, and then he would have had time to reface his MG. So we do have Hans, he retreated his Pioneers, he went for his Battle Phase 1, and then built his barracks, his Tier 1 barracks. So what is he doing now? I really am interested to see. You're going for his Tier 2, okay. So he has that on the way now. Still could be Pigrens, could be 2-2, we'll have to see.
Very interesting. Noganno with his Tier 2 Maxims out on the field. I'm surprised as well to see this. Would have thought a Mortar may have come out first. But I guess he wants the Maxims to really just put the threat on the Ostrupen. And I think Hans knows as well, Maxim is going to be a weakness for him here. He's not going to be able to do anything to those Maxims. And do we have any tech up from Noganno yet? Do we see any of the maybe Molotovs, AT nades?
Going for nades. So this is really clever here. So Noganno recognizes what Hans is doing. He knows that he's going for this Tier 1 skip. He doesn't see any Grens, there's no Mortar Sniper, so he knows it's a quick Tier 2. So he's preparing himself for this by preemptively having the AT grenades, as we see helping Hans going for the 2-2-2. So brilliant game sense of Noganno knowing his opponent's strategy.
Of course, Scout Car in the build from Hans will be on the field very, very soon. Noganno will be able to respond to this because, of course, he has just teched the AT nade, so he's probably expecting Hans to rush this unit at the moment. He also has access to AT guns if needed, if the situation becomes too much that his conscripts can't deal with it due to the MG. So far, I'd say it's very good for Hans, though. You don't normally see this kind of map control from Oster in the early game. But look at this. Once again, Ostrupen running up to take that strategic point that's going to deny all these resources on the right-hand side. Look at that cutoff. Absolutely beautiful. And, of course, the scout car now probably going to try to force the rest of these forces back into the base.
Yeah, very effective push here. I wonder if he's going for the half track. So he's going for the flame half track. We have seen that before. Very, very effective strategy. Lots of light vehicles. Really puts the pressure on. That being said, he is versing Tier 2, so the AT guns are available, as you mentioned, as well as all the constant script AT grenades. So I doubt it'll be a double scout car. Actually, going to be flanking the 2-2 now. Nice little juke around there by helping Hans. He rotates to the south, so he avoids the conscripts entirely and backs away into the MG suppression. So helping Hans this entire game has had beautiful MG positioning.
Yeah, it really has. Just the work around all of his units seem to go into a point that's protected. The mortar, though, is starting to change things for Jove here. Being able to force that MG off, maybe able to get a little bit of progressive work done with those conscripts. Just trying to calculate at the moment the kind of teching damage that Hans has done by denying that point. I think probably been denied for roughly a minute on those, and we're seeing Helping Hands way ahead in the resources right now. He's already teching up to the flame projectors on the half-track. Noganno's a little bit wise to it, takes the Maxim out of that pivotal building covering the fuel, because of course that has the power to deal huge, catastrophic damages to Noganno's forces if he gets that while the Maxim's in a building.
I love the flame half-track so much because the best counter to this Ostrupen spam is support weapons. Maxims for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, and mortars because the Ostrupen are very static. They have to remain still behind cover, and of course mortars are good against that. So by having the flame half-track, it's the hard counter to the counter of the Ostrupen. So he already has his bases covered. Nico, of course, he could have gone for a T-70, is normally the best thing to do here, or even an Su-76, but he's just so far behind in fuel because of that aggressive cut-off with the Ostrupen covered by the MG42. So Nico is really far behind in his fuel. He's a long way off getting a light vehicle. He's going for a Zis gun, but a Zis gun isn't going to really kill these vehicles unless Helping Hans make a huge mistake.
Sure, it sounded like those conscripts popped Aura, but of course symbol doesn't come up, so that was actually just the voice cue. Something I've never really understood is why you have a voice cue that is exactly the same as an ability activation. But here we see Helping Hands coming with the flame projector half-track, trying to burn the conscripts before they can get back into their base. We don't see any mines on the field yet from Noganno, so nothing to stop this light vehicle play tearing into the bases of the Russians at the start. Noganno is seriously coming up against such a strong offense from Helping Hands. Was not expecting to see this kind of gameplay straight off at the start.
The great thing as well about Helping Hans' aggression is it's denied any potential for Nico to spam mines and demos. A lot of times we see Axis players struggle from behind because every time they try and cap points, there's mines, there's demos. As this gun opens up on the half track, we'll back away in front of the shed. Needs to repair this one though. Even his scout car is rather low as well. Only has the one Pioneer squad. Maybe he'll go for a second squad now that he has his P-Grens finished. So he has a lot of infantry on the field. However, Helping Hans should probably go for a pack unless he wants to go for some Shreks, because it's not going to be too far off Noganno pulling out his T-70. And a T-70 right now would be a very effective counter to all these units.
Yeah, the T-70 is going to be... I just think it's too delayed. I feel like he may have delayed the T-70 with those cut-offs and the double fuel. Like,
This
so much so that maybe Noganno won't even see it worthy enough. I'm just... At the moment, I would have thought, you know, with the kind of way that this is going, maybe he would have picked a commander already. Obviously, he knows Hans has picked a commander. Things haven't been going so well in the early game. Maybe there's been a commander that could have given him a little bit of a lead in. You know, Partisans maybe could have done the work against this light vehicle play and really like put a nail in Hans's assault. But
yeah.
We haven't seen anything yet, so maybe he's just trying to keep something up his sleeve. You know, just wait the game out a little bit until he's confident he knows something is gonna work. Absolutely brutal gameplay at the moment.
You're right, Partisans would be very smart because he already has the nades unlocked. So all he has to do is spawn the Tank Hunter Partisans from a house, and he can finish off one of those vehicles very quickly with the Shreks, with the AT grenades. So that this wounded 222 has to be a little careful straying near this house, even the half-track as well. Back at base being repaired, but it's always the threat of the Tank Hunter Partisans, especially when you have the nades unlocked.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be a nice pop-off here. I mean, they're pretty much guaranteed get the kill on that scout car. The question is, though, if those light vehicles were off the field, would he still be able to do anything against Hans here? Hans has been so strong on the lockdown that maybe he's not feeling confident enough about pulling them out. Also, of course, Panzer Grenadiers running around, so any spawns out of buildings could end badly. Late retreat there from conscripts. One model runs away. Panzer Grenadiers tearing in to try and displace the Maxim. It's a good push, and it's going to allow Hans to reclaim this side of the map. And double fuel now. It's been quite a while of double fuel for Hans. And I wonder what we're going to see here. Are we going to see tech up? He's got Battle Phase 2 already, so we could see a Tier 3 rush. Maybe Panzer 4 would be lovely.
Brilliant play here from Helping Hans. It's the second time we've seen him bait out the Maxim with the Osttruppen, and then as the Maxim sets up, then the Pigrins go in for the flank, they go in for the charge, and the Maxim, it has to retreat. And the Maxim, it's so fast to set up and pack up, but even then, the Pigrin flanks are just so aggressive and so decisive that the Maxims have to retreat. So I think Helping Hans is just absolutely outplaying Noganno here. Every situation, he always has a response. It's a nice flank, nice vehicle pushing. He's fighting these engagements very well. He just now has his med bunker, so it's a bit late med bunker, but he hasn't really needed it very desperately, and it's given him more squads on the field. The MG in the middle may have to get retreated here because the mortar's actually shelling it.
I think that's just one of the beautiful things about Osttruppen, though, is that you probably don't need to go for the med bunker. The units are so expendable, really, for the amount that they are to reinforce and the speed that they reinforce. You can really just use them as frontline fodder for the majority of your engagements. And it's something that we saw last week, if you remember. The Osttruppen actually allowed Hans to get so far up in tech so quickly. It was allowing him to do all the light vehicle rushes without really significant damage to his manpower. So it was a really good strategy, like, for that reason, I always thought. But here we're seeing it even more enforced because he's been able to take that double fuel, and now his teching is just going to be so strong. We've already seen the Battle Phase 2, we've got the armor company going up right now, so I'm interested to see what the first pick's going to be. I think it'll be Panzer 4. I think that'd be the sensible decision for scaling in the late game.
I just love how you suggested that he's using Osttruppen as expendable fodder, because that is exactly their intended purpose. Like, that is what they are designed for, is throw them away, you know, they're prisoners of war, we don't care about them, and they actually do reflect that quite well in the gameplay, I think. So yeah,
I think they even come up with some audio cues for that. I think they even say that every now and then, like, you know, you asked for cannon fire?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's a bit of a joke.
Here's the T-70 coming in alongside with another Maxim, a late T-70 at 12, well, nearly 13 minutes into the game, we're going to be seeing that T-70. I think it's still the right decision because with this lack of fuel, and Noganno isn't really making much ground, I think he probably needs something to try and, just dislodge forces, and also it could do some capping. It could do some capping around the sides of the map. If it does get into a situation where it's out-teched. So I think that's a sensible decision, even though a little bit late. Look at that barrage from the AT gun, nearly wiping the Panzer Grenadiers there. That would have been a huge loss for Hans. Absolutely beautiful. And here we're going to see the first engagement from the T-70. Picks out the Flame half-track. Looks like it's going to be a guaranteed kill. No way it's going to be able to deal with the T-70 or get the retreat out in time. Good plays there from Noganno. This is the payoff that he was going to want to be seeing right now.
The incendiary ammo already on cooldown there. The MG couldn't save the half-track, and a T-7 is opening up on the MG as well, doing a lot of damage here. Retreats a little bit late, may even lose it here. 222 has opened up. The Panzer IV should be arriving in the next minute or so. He hasn't got the manpower for it. Being manpower bled a little bit too much there, but man, that Zis barrage was so effective and so decisive too, because that's the only AT that Hans currently has. So if those went down, then the T-70 would have had a lot of free reign, and just the fact they had to retreat, it meant that the Pigrins couldn't have saved the half-track. So perhaps the only mistake that Hans has made so far, his Flame half-track went in very aggressively, even despite how late it was into the game. So maybe he thought that Noganno wouldn't go for a T-7 just going by how late it's been in the game. It's 14 minutes. But yeah, I think the T70 is always worth getting, especially since you can just get a second Zis gun and then use them as bait. You bait around. It's how we see players use the Osvins as well. You know, say if the OKW scavenge and they have the Osvins, they bait for the Raketans. So they can set up good engagements.
I'm just astonished. Look at this from Noganno, really. I mean, he has managed to take a lot of the map back. We're seeing a triple cap going to come in, so this is going to help him get those VPs back under control. He's been taking a lot of a VP drain, already at 215, 15 minutes into the game at this point. And Hans here trying to get the situation back under control, but with these Maxims starting to come on the field now, it's going to start getting difficult. There we go, one goes down, beautiful. Hopefully he can pick up with the Ostrupen, and I wonder if he's going to stay in that engagement or whether he's just going to hit the retreat button
Might get suppressed
straight away.
Oh,
but look at this,
cap.
Incendiary comes in to try and stop the Ostrupen from getting it. Lovely use of the Incendiary there.
Well, it was actually obsolete there because you can't cap when suppressed. So
yeah, I don't know whether he was expecting it would get picked up and that was like another, just to make sure that that didn't happen. But yeah, of course, the suppression was the big factor in there anyway. But I don't disagree with the decision. I mean, it's not recruitable now by the Panzer Grenadiers. Hans has had to retreat those due to the one model drop. And it's a good thing he didn't crew that, because he probably would have lost that model to the Flames anyway. Yeah,
I think what happened, he probably activated it before they were suppressed, because it takes a bit of a delay, even for the flares to appear. T7 is going after the Panzer Grens here. There's 2-2 in position. The P-Grens will survive now. And here comes the Panzer IV. It has shown up, does connect as well. The Scout car may finish him off here. The Flamer is trying, but the Flamer is not succeeding. Oh, and he loses the T70. Oh, wow,
yeah,
the P4 having a heroic entrance.
I mean, I was about to say, actually, to be honest, for Noganno, like, Noganno's decision there to push, like, he knew that the Panzerschreck on the Panzer Grenadiers, he knew that unit was retreating, and as you said already, you know, the only real form of AT that at least Noganno knew about that was present was retreating, so he made the push for the scout car, but the timing of the Panzer IV was so beautiful that he just managed to come in and completely turn that engagement into a beautiful counterattack. And look at this here, Noganno letting his micro slip a little bit, the AT gun rolls in. Nice shot from the mortar, but I think he's in serious danger of losing that AT gun if he keeps doing that.
Once again, helping Hans flanking the Maxim every time. Maxims that have hardly ever had a nice chance to actually set up. They've always been flanked, mainly by the P-Grens. So helping Hans, he has so much munitions in the bank. I wonder what he goes for here. Maybe some S-mines, some telemines. Especially because there's only the Flamer combat engineers. There's no minesweeper, so just spamming S-mines all over the place would certainly be quite effective. We actually have a demo on the VP right next to the S-mines, so the demo could definitely get a nice kill if Noganno's paying attention to it and there's no sweeper nearby. I think he just finished a telemine. Yeah, nice, near the VP at the south.
Double ATs from Noganno here, so clearly, yeah, he's realizing that the fuel isn't going to his advantage at the moment, so he's going to kit himself out with a decent amount of AT. It's going to stop the Panzer IV from doing anything too courageous. Of course, he does have AT nades as well, so that should further prevent anything Hans doing. There we go, nice hits as well on the Panzer IV, really making it difficult for that to get into any of the engagements without taking hits to its health. And again, this is just really, really good flanking here. I get the feeling that Hans is really feeling the tells from Noganno every situation. Here we're seeing a bundle grenade go in. Noganno's good. Micro does spot it in time, but loses 4 models of the squad. So the manpower hits coming in left, right, and center. It seems as well. What have we got here? KV-8 has actually just rocked up onto the field. So this is a very interesting one. Double AT guns and KV-8. Very, very difficult situation for the Ostrupen now.
I was wondering if you would go for the KV-8 or for the IS-2. I think I like the KV-8 just because he already has 2 Zis guns, he already has AT grenades, he has a fair bit of AT support. So he can definitely force away squads, he can flank the MGs, and there's only the P-Grens for the AT. We do see double Panzer IV though, which is quite nice. Oh, it's going to be a Faust as well. Brilliant timing there with the Shreks. The Shreks connect first. So the Panzerfaust does get the damage engine despite the Panzerfaust ability being used beforehand.
Yeah, I really, really liked it. That's the kind of micro that Hans employs, you know what I mean? His timing is always spot on, and we just saw, you know, he had the Faust lined up. The Faust was kind of already in the animation motion as the shots from the Panzerschreck went in. So, you know, he knew he was going to get that combination, provided that the shots from the Shrek's hit, and I absolutely love that. I kind of feel, to be honest, that Hans' micro has been a little bit more on point than Noganno's so far, just based on obviously things like the AT gun that we saw, you know, and some other little issues like that. But Noganno does seem to be picking up slowly. The only difficult issue now is, you know, less than 200 VPs on his side. Normally it's something that's in the hands of the allies. This time it's in the hands of the Axis, and Axis are getting stronger as the game progresses. So, you know, it's going to be really, really difficult for Noganno here. I think the one benefit that he does have, though, is that Hans seems to be kind of stuck on a tier 3 at the moment. He's not in that comfortable position for map control he was before. So the IS-2 may actually have a really, really good chance unless Hans goes, you know, for some Stoogs in his loadout. The IS-2 may have a really good chance with the KV-8 of being incredibly potent here.
Noganno definitely recovering well. Moving up with these Panzergrenades, maybe get another Faust here off of his Osttrippen. Panzer IV moving in, but there's this gun in position. Damaged engine, he connects with the Faust though. He's going to die of this KVA. There is a Ziscon there, but where are the conscripts? There's no AT grenades for support. P-Grenades on the chase as well. The Panzer IV is bouncing though. The penetration on the Panzer IV, it is just not good. It is really, really bad. Bounces again, but the Shreks may finish the job here. The Ziscon not firing. There it is, a little bit late. Double Ziscons in position. The KV-8 goes down. The Panzer IV may do so as well. The nade does connect here. Ziscon moving in for it. This P4 should go down.
Yeah, this is going to have to be microed very, very well by Hans to get out of this. We can see that we've got the second Panzer IV coming in to provide some support. Don't think Noganno's going to get that AT gun out there, but Hans is desperately trying to get the Panzer IV away. I actually think he's made it. I think he's probably actually managed to protect that enough. There's nothing that's going to be able to chase down this situation right now. And of course, Noganno's actually given away one of an AT guns as well, something that Hans is lacking in his own army composition.
He may lose both of them here. He destroys the south one, the north one as well should be destroyed. Oh, that is so brilliant here from Noganno, from helping Hans rather. Because he's going to take out both of them. Oh no, maybe the top one will survive. The Panzer IV misses the shot. 2-2 going in for the conscripts, I think. But he wants to deny this AT gun. There it goes, finally. So two of these vehicles have a damaged engine. Noganno is rebuilding a third Ziscon, but man, he won't cut it, especially as the Panzer IVs are getting Blitzkrieg now. They're very mobile. They have the received accuracy modifier when they Blitzkrieg, so they can just avoid the Ziscon arc. And the other thing as well to bear in mind is that when you're over-relying on support weapons, when you have a lot of Ziscons, a lot of Maxims, and a mortar, it actually is very vulnerable to the railway strike, which we have from Helping Hans coming up. Once he has the munitions for it, we can just see the railway strike being deployed, and it completely forces all the support weapons to reposition and potentially get wiped if there's a nice shot that comes through.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Of course, if we get to see that. You know, Noganno looking pretty worse for weather at the moment. Interested to see where he's going to go from here, though. I think he's still quite a long way off from the IS-2. He may be forced into going, you know, medium-tier vehicles, because I just don't think he's going to be able to get that fuel up in time to protect against the 200 VP drain. I think, you know, sensibly, to save up for the IS-2 and then maybe get like a minute, maybe max, when the IS-2 comes out at this rate, to use it effectively is going to be very, very difficult. And of course, you know, to change things otherwise, he's got to dominate the right-hand side of the map right now. He's got a VP there already. He's going to go for the fuel. There's munitions there as well. So, you know, he needs to put up a good fight on the right-hand side, good fight in the middle, and then I think maybe, you know, a little bit of a chance that he can IS-2 rush. But this is I think he's going to have to be making some serious decisions right now.
Hans is worried about the IS-2. Oh, wow. Flamers on the ground here. You can cap it with the conscripts. Pioneers looking for the double Flamers. They're not happy with one, but no, the cons will take that one. But losing the only engineers that Noganno has now, it's going to make it even harder for him if he rebuilds a vehicle. He's actually going for a second Ziscon now. So Noganno not going for a Su-76. I think that was his three options, really. It was either Su-76, rebuild the KV-8, or try and stall for the IS-2. Looks like he's going for the IS-2 stall, which it's going to be the best thing, but as you say, he might run out of time, especially if Helping Hans holds a triple cap.
Yeah, two AT guns should really be enough to kind of hold the right-hand side, I would think. The only threat, as you say, like railway artillery in Hans, has been very, very on point with his pushes this game. one of the interesting, very, very nice, by the way. Noganno is using tripwire flares to get rid of the Ostrouper, model by model drops, just absolutely crazy. So, really good play from Noganno there. He's trying to keep his grip on, and there we go. Railway artillery finally unlocked. It's used straight away on the entrance to Noganno's base. This is going to be a huge play. Engine damage on the Panzer IV. He's trying to chase the AT gun back as it retreats, but it's going to line up another shot. He may get the kill there. Just manages to take down one of the models, so the gun does not fire. There we go, taken down. What actually took that down? It was.
There's just gun on the back of his base. Yeah, that was the one that got the main gun destroyed on the Panzer IV as well. I feel like that was a little bit greedy, just because Helping Hans didn't have his second Panzer IV. I like the idea of the base dive, try and get some damage done, but I feel like he should have waited until he's had his second Panzer IV, which was fully repaired. Because then if he had both Panzer IVs diving after the Zis guns, it would have been pretty effective. But maybe he thought he would be able to circle the only Zis gun, because I think Noganno, Helping Hans, realized that Noganno only had the one AT gun, which he did until the second Zis gun spawned from the corner of the map. So it was a little bit off the timing. If it was 5 seconds earlier, it would have been very successful.
That's happened for Noganno so many times. Well, I should say just for Noganno. Hans and Noganno have both had those good engagements and engagements that have got bad for them. We saw it earlier with the T-70, what looked like a great push, instantly countered. We saw it then, you know, the timing of that AT gun, absolutely beautiful. And Noganno still looks like he is very much in this game right now. He has been drawing down Hans' VPs. We see Hans now sitting on 325. And VPs at the moment as well, you know, whilst we don't have a game in hand for either player, VPs are a fragile thing, you know. If it is going to go to a game 3, these VPs are very, very important right now. And Noganno, I think, you know, is never going to throw in the towel in this game at least, because he wants to make sure that Hans' VPs drop as low as possible, even if the game does go down, so that game 3 can go to his advantage. So a pretty big game right now. Noganno looks like he isn't putting enough pressure on the right-hand side. Nice, the demo went off. What did that kill?
This guy in the middle may get the Pioneers. They're so low in this house. The demo blew up the Ostroupen, so that's actually the first 2 major wipes of the game, apart from those engineers. But we saw the house near the right-hand side fuel actually had a squad of conscripts inside of it, and I believe it was a bundle grenade from the Panzergrenz blew that up. So Cons went down, and then the Ostroupen went down as well on the VP, as you mentioned. So squad wipe for squad wipe, definitely worse off for helping, no, rather for Noganno. I keep getting the names mixed up because Noganno's name is Nico, so I'm kind of on tilt now because I keep looking at it, having to think, what's his name? But the IS2...
It's definitely triggered me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm calling him Noganno, and I hope people on stream know the player on the left-hand side, the blue player, is actually Noganno. For some strange reason, changed his name for the tournament today. We don't know why. We'll ask him later, but... yeah, that is who we are referring to if it hasn't made sense so far. And of course, Noganno, aka Nico, has just put on the IS-2. I see people in chat right now, they're thinking, is this going to turn this game around? This is a beastly unit. And it also isn't really got that much competition on the field. We do have an AT gun now from Hans. However, you know, this is a highly armored unit. It's very, very good. It's going to allow the rest of Noganno's army to perform very well whilst it is there with support. So very interested to see how that goes. You just see the S-mines there tripping up. It was actually Noganno that activated the S-mine field, but it took down some of Hans' Ostroupen. So actually using his own S-mine field against him, whether that was intentional or not, we don't know. But nevertheless, not good for Hans at this point.
Man, this pack has bounced 4 shots in a row. The Shreks as well doing a little bit of damage there. So much armor on the IS-2. There's only 1 engineer squad. Oh no, sorry, there isn't any engineers, and the reason why that is because the flamer symbol, which you would normally associate with combat engineers, is actually on the conscripts, so a little bit deceiving there, but it is going to be engineers rebuilt now, so of course, now finally having access to the repairs, and helping Hans, he already has his tier 4, the heavy Panzer core, so he's almost got his Panther out. You know, needs 175 fuel, he almost has that. So the Panther, in combination with the Panzer IV, the Shreks, and the pack, it should be enough AT to get the job done.
Yeah, I would hope so, at least. It's an odd one. It's an odd engagement there. I'm interested to see. I've been watching the mortar at the moment. Have you seen the Russian mortar? So 24 kills at the moment. It is starting to pick up its kill rate at present. And of course, you see that Hans' army is getting smaller and smaller. He's got a lot of manpower stacked up. In fact, he just spent it on a Panther. So clearly he's gone the tier 4 tech to Panther there. That is a really good decision by Hans. A lot of people would probably just stick to tier 3, maybe go for the Stug and attempt to try and penetrate the armor of the IS-2 with a unit like that at range. Actually, Hans is going to go for the Panther. Very, very good unit against the IS-2. It's going to have good range against it. Hopefully the shots are going to be penetrating more often than not. So I think that's a really good choice. In tier 3, tier 4, we may even see a Panzerwerfer come out later on. I would love to see that.
I do like the Panther as well. I feel like if you were to take the IS-2 and put it in a bubble, then in theory, on paper, the stats of the Stug would make it better than the Panther. The problem with the Stugs, though, is they're going to be very vulnerable to the double Zis guns. The double Zis guns can kill them very quickly and very easily, whereas the Panther has a lot of armor, a lot of health. It has a turret, so you can use it a bit more aggressively. So it's going to be a lot easier to keep alive, and it's especially when you have a Panzer IV. There's still the Scout car as well. You have a lot of armor to manage. You want to try and make it as easy as possible for you. You don't want to be stretching out your APM too much. You want to be building I guess the easier units is a way of wording it. But I just think it's also because Noganno already has the counters to the Stugs.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably the main issue, is trying to get some kind of way around those AT guns. And then of course it comes, I guess, down to the turrets as well. At least the Panther has a fixed turret, so it could go in for the dive if it wanted to and still comfortably get in that engagement. Interesting though, one of the things that we spotted out, I don't think we spoke about it too much in the earlier side of this game. We haven't seen a sniper from Helping Hands today, which is something we saw in the previous builds with Ostrupen. And what do you think the sniper? Do you think the sniper would have been good? I mean, maybe even a late game sniper just for sight, just so he has a little more intel on what he's doing. Could be a nice addition. He certainly has been floating the manpower for it at many occasions, but he doesn't really have any other way of gaining sight without, throwing units into the field. And do you think that would be a good idea?
I think he has a Vet 3 Scout car, and the Vet 3 Scout car, it doesn't have the OPOP map hacks, the spotting scopes, but it does give you a lot of vision. Yeah, let's go to his vision here. Helping Hans, he can see a lot. He has a lot of vision here from the Scout car, and that allows him to go for a Panzerwerfer and use the Panzerwerfer to get some direct hits off on the Zis guns, get nice vision for it. Getting the Flamer on the Zis gun here may actually wipe it. Retreating back to his base, though. Let's see. No, maybe not. Negative cover, but it's only Pioneer SMGs. Yeah, so I think the 2-2 actually does give him a lot of vision. And
you're probably right. It probably gives him more than enough.
Yeah.
That. Oh, look, the Panzerwerfer's in the build.
Nice.
Absolutely beautiful. I love it when you call things like these. But
yeah,
the Panzerwerfer is going to be really beneficial to him right now, because I think clearing those AT guns is going to be a huge boost for him to get in there and deal with that IS-2.
The Maxim went down there to the Ostrupen, I believe that was. The other thing as well that you mentioned with the sniper is, again, it's a huge APM sink. You have to babysit the sniper. You have to make sure it doesn't die, and especially when you have vetted cons that can URAR and chase you down. You have IS-2, you have a Vet 3 mortar. It's just so much APM, and they're nice to have, certainly, against the Maxims. It could be worth it. It just depends if Helping Hans is able to micro it properly. That being said, though, Noganno does go for shock troops, and Sniper is such a strong counter to the shocks. The manpower build on shocks is significant, but the other thing as well is the shocks, they're close range damage. They're SMG troops, so they can never go. Oh, whoa! The Ostroup can go down the middle. That mortar, I think, was the main damage source there, allowing the constant
I think
finish
the
off.
IS-2 got the finisher there, maybe with a little help from the conscripts. Yeah, it was the mortar took, I think, 4 or 5 models of that squad down straight away. Here we see this Panzer IV trying to get away from the IS-2 in the center. Noganno's putting a lot more pressure on, and you'll notice the VP drain has been a lot slower now than it was in the early stages of the game. First shot from the Panzerwerfer. Looks like it's going right at the back here to clear the AT guns.
Wow.
There's a lot of damage, but no actual decrews on there.
That was the best case scatter. He got the Zis gun at the front, and then all the way behind, he got the
Yeah.
mortar and the Maxim. And of course, in the middle, where there was no units, they all missed.
I think he may have felt a little better if he'd had a D crew on there.
Yeah.
Maybe on one of those. But I mean, yeah, the spread was absolutely beautiful. The damage, maybe not so much. But Noganno's going to pick up that he has that unit now. And Hans seems to be filtering out a manpower army for a mechanical kind of setup here. And I wonder how Noganno's going to deal with this. He does have AT guns out still on the field, so it's going to make it very difficult for Hans' armor, especially with those 18 aids as well, to be effective. Noganno instigates a triple cap across the map. Absolutely phenomenal that he's doing this after being so pushed back. And Hans here deciding to get a lot of his units up together for this push. Turning into a very interesting game.
Telemine is swept by the engineers near the fuel point there on the right side. So nice to see Noganno being active with his engineers, wanting to make sure his IS-2 doesn't get caught, because that's really the biggest counter to the IS-2 is hitting a Telemine. And then, of course, you have nowhere to run. The Panzergrins are being very aggressive, so I like how they're constantly wounding the IS-2. It's always risky, though, because the clumping can result in a nice wipe from the IS-2. But it's keeping it down. You know, it's preventing it from being as aggressive as it would like to. The VP situation is, at the moment, going in the favor of Noganno, having a triple cap to his name, however, still being very far behind. I feel like Helping Hans has a better unit composition, but doesn't have the map control. Panzerwerfer's firing. Where are we going? The Maxim?
It's going right up, same position again. Ooh. He's just going to be firing on that to try and clear those defenses as much as possible. Yeah, railway's a good decision. I think Hans needs that railway right now. He needs to mobilize under cover of that railway. It's easy to get a first hit on that. That would be beautiful.
Whoa!
Wow! Wipes the shock troops straight away. You've got to wonder, was that planned that way?
Wasn't it cons as well? I believe it was cons too. You got cons and
not
shots.
escape?
No, yeah, you got cons. There's only one squad left. And the thing is as well, is he actually... That scattered south, so... I think that was actually a pretty big mistake there, because they retreated through the railway's scatter path. They retreated through the railway where it was dropped. If they soft retreated to the west and then go back to base, that would have been much safer for them. So yeah, that was, I think, a bit of a mistake there. It was, of course, lucky by Hans, but Noganno, he retreated through it rather than avoiding it entirely.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't know which came first, because he was quite deep with the shocks. The shocks seemed to be chasing down. They got caught up by the scout car on the Panzer IV. It was a sensible decision to retreat. And I don't know if the timing just came off by Hans putting it there. Yeah, it definitely couldn't have been planned. I mean, I would love to say that was planned. I'd be stunned. But again, what a game changer. When it looked like that was really going to tip it for Noganno, the luck just kind of went straight into Hans' favor. And then we see Hans getting himself a foothold on the map again. Absolutely beautiful, man. I absolutely love this.
Pack's actually shelling this IS-2, and the Zisgun in response is barraging the Pack. It's Vet 2 now, this Zisgun, so it's very powerful. Something as well that
His army is so centered. Where's the Panzerwerfer going to be firing here?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time until Hans win this game. Even without that lucky break, I feel like Helping Hans just has the better composition, because sooner or later, it's just a matter of time until the Panzerwerfer actually wipes something. Zisgun, though, getting a couple of shots off here. The Panther had its rear armor exposed. The frontal armor now giving you good bounce chance against the Zisguns. So yeah, that's just the problem when you over-rely on support weapons. Once your opponent gets rocket artillery, it's just kind of a matter of time until you start losing things.
Yeah, and of course we don't see any tier 4 from Noganno, who has actually got the fuel to kind of diversify a little bit now and maybe come up with something else to complement the IS-2. He's still deciding to go heavy on the infantry. And it hasn't really worked for him, I don't think. It's been something that's been so nice about this build from Hans, is that he really has left himself with options everywhere. Noganno less so, though. You know, he's got the options, obviously static AT guns countered by the Panzerwerfer, Maxims countered by the Panzerwerfer. Infantry aren't going to really be able to do anything against the tanks here. So I think Hans has got himself in a much better composition position at this point.
Composition position! I like it.
I'm coining that as my new phrase.
Yeah, you took it away from me. I think the dream here for Noganno is to get tier 4, and then he has two options. He either goes for SU-85 and to try and keep the Panther and the Panzer IV at bay. SU-85 very strong now. Or he goes for the T-34-76 and try to aggressively dive the Panzerwerfer, because that's his problem, is he can't get the VPs because there's tanks on them, but at the same time he's going to start losing his support weapons to the Panzerwerfer. I mean, he hasn't lost any of them yet, but he keeps losing models. There's a lot of manpower bleed. Panzerwerfer doing very well, 18 kills. So he's in a bit of a tricky spot here. Of course, going for tier 4 though is a massive manpower investment, the manpower of teching and then of course building a vehicle. So I don't think he really has the VPs to do that. Maybe if he didn't lose the shocks and the cons, but I think at this stage he's basically out of any chance here. The top's held now by Helping Hands by a Panzer IV. The south is well in the hands of Helping Hands. And the middle is up for contention here, but only 40 VPs left. Noganno probably going to bleed this one out.
Yeah, it would be the sensible decision for Noganno to just throw everything he can at 2 points, but we'll talk about that in a second, because of course the Panthers rearing up into action at the moment. It has delivered a stun shot from the pack, and it was going to go and give a charge to try and neutralize that. Didn't manage to get the opportunity, unfortunately. A little bit risky whilst those two AT guns are still up there, but again, beautiful play by Hands. You know, he's got the Vet 1 on the pack gun, he's using target weak point, got the stun shot off, which in itself is an achievement, because you know how unreliable that thing is. And then, of course, trying to close it with the Panther. Just beautiful plays, and again, sensible decisions are winning this game. You know, he decided, you know what, the stun isn't long enough for me to get in there and deliver this. Hit the kind of reverse button and got out of there. It's just beautiful play here at the moment.
Going for the middle VP, there's a new squad of shocks here, and the Flamer from the conscript's doing a fair bit of damage here as well. I feel like Helping Hands should try and use the supply drop zone. He's basically pop capped and he has a lot of manpower, so he could use that on the munitions point and that'll give him more access to railways. Panther's going in pretty aggressively here. He knows where the Ziskan is, so he can actually flank it. Once again, just putting more and more harassment on, keeping the IS-2 low health, and going for the North VP with the Maxim here, but there's actually a Panzer IV in position. Gonna have to retreat that one. Shock's going for the south, but he won't get it in time. Only 3 VPs. That's going to be it here for Noganno.
Yeah, but he's no way going to be able to get that in time. There we go. GG. First game goes to Helping Hands. That was a beautiful game.